I'm about to talk about Adult Panto. They are back on the road for their 19th year. The Market Theatre Company are corrupting another fairy tale beyond any recognition from the classic. And this will blow your mind as well. I know this fact and it still blows my mind. The company of 3 actors are going to be bringing you an evening of corny jokes, raunchy plots and very blatant innuendo. And 33% of those actors are Nick Hooton, who joins me this evening. Nick, it is a pleasure having you on the show. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year. Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm very good. Even if there's a little bit of me that's slightly nervous for how terribly Ofcom friendly this might be. So another slick, fast-moving, farcical, adult-only show tomorrow night at Bishop Stortford, and then Friday and Saturday night at the Palace Theatre in Southend. There are many more shows to go after that, but they're further around the UK. Nick, you play now. This is where we have to get really careful. You play the characters Buttons Undone.
Yep.
I can't say that one. I can't say that one. Prince Pokemon. Prince Poke Me.
Yes.
Prince Poke Me. I think I can get away with that one. Can I say that? Funny gag mother. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I could just about. Yeah, Tom pulled a face. And then there's, I believe, 2 brothers, Ivor and Had.
Yes.
I'm not even attempting the surname on that one. There's a character I'm not even going near the name of, just in case. My boss is aware that I do this on the show from time to time. But Nick, you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 characters. How? How do you do that?
Wow, that's something I ask myself every year. That's kind of our thing, really. There's me, like you said, and there's 2 other girls. So there's only 3, and the style of our theatre, our genre, our kind of the show that we always produce each year is just that it's everyone, the small amount of cast trying to do everything, sometimes well, sometimes correctly, and then obviously it's panto, so kind of sometimes not, and it's allowed to fall apart at the seams. So the idea is that you can play one character, then walk off, and within, as quickly as you can, 5 to 10 seconds, you're back on with another one from. And in this instance, from the actual story of Cinderella. So everybody knows the ugly sisters, the stepmother, obviously Cinderella. So everyone's kind of waiting to see which one of us is playing that one next, and how quickly we can get in and out of that costume.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of our thing, really. That's what we're trying to do.
So does the format of pantomime allow you that freedom within the theatrical world to actually, as you say, with just the 3 of you being able to play so many different roles? If it's not quite perfect, because it's pantomime, it's kind of allowed. It's almost like an unspoken agreement between us, you as the performers, but us as an audience, that actually, if you come out with the wrong wig on, it's fine. Like we kind of go, yeah, all right, great, fine. If you've got the wrong pair of shoes for the wrong dress on, like it doesn't matter. Like we don't care. Yeah. It's kind of part and parcel of it. Does that help?
Well, that's certainly my excuse. So when I meant to get it right and I get it completely wrong, I'm like, well, it's panto. Come on, don't worry about it.
Doesn't matter. It's so important.
Yeah, but there is an element of that, because you see the family ones, and there's always some things you think, is that a plant? Was that really meant to happen? And sometimes the funniest bits are the bits that go wrong on the night first time, because you didn't get dressed quickly enough, or you walked in on the wrong scene, so that's and that element of being able to blame it on the style of panto. We're here for a laugh. It's not too serious. It's not Shakespeare. It's not Chekhov. No one's going to be correcting you saying, no, you should be saying it like this.
Yeah, exactly. So away from the adult pantomime, we can talk a little bit more about, you've done it for a number of years, Nick. So you've clearly you've either, bashed your head and forgotten to say no, or you love it. But do you do straight theatre work as well away from the pantomime season? Because I imagine, as much as pantomime can run into the sort of months of February, March, and even in previous years, sort of April and May, it's not an all-year-round thing, traditionally speaking. Do you do other more kind of straight theatre?
Yeah, I do. The theatre that I work with, the Market Theatre, they do as well. And as an actor, you just kind of job hop from one thing to another. So whether it's straight comedy, solo, great big ensemble piece, it's theatre, TV, it could be anything really. And then the Market Theatre, we tend to tour more comedies because they sell better, just on people want that kind of
escapism,
fun evening at the theatre. Yeah, but we have whodunits, histories, spooky plays around Halloween. So all kind of genres that, as an actor, there's a popular pool of say 15 or 20 of us.
Yeah.
That dip in and out of doing shows. Always about sort of 3 to 4 handers maybe, 4 people in the cast. So yeah, we just turn our hand to anything and everything whenever we need to.
But this is the thing I can't get my head around, and I think I've asked this of many actors previously on BBC Essex over the last several years I've been here. You're artists, okay, and I don't mean that in a pretentious sense, but you are artists. You are striving for, performance perfection. How does that compute against your mind? Like, there's lines, there's sort of marks to hit on the stage to be under the spots or whatever it might be. How hard is it for you to have trained to be an actor and do it and sell the story correctly to the audience, and yet actually just completely go, to hell with this, it doesn't really matter, whatever? Is that hard?
Not really, because the way, certainly our play, because it is a farcical play. It's kind of a show that's going wrong.
Yeah,
it's got elements of Carry On. It's got elements of Fawlty Towers. So there's a skill in that we kind of learn the basics of farce. We learn the basics of comedy, and that's always the underlying current of this show. There's layers to it that we can put on that. Oh, it's gone wrong, or there's a bit of stand up, there's a bit of cabaret, or there's a bit of a song, and they're the moments you can kind of be a bit more freer with. But even with that, the structure of the show is kind of that no matter how free or kind of off the cuff it seems, there's still an element of the show structure that is quite well rehearsed for any show, you would rehearse any show.
I'm a massive fan of Tommy Cooper. I love Tommy Cooper through and through, and I think more than even his performance, it's the way in which he went about his performance, in that he would put so many deliberate mistakes in there that which were thought out to millimeter precision in order to get the laugh, or to deliberately make it go wrong. That when something did genuinely go wrong, you never noticed, because unless he let on to it, you couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. And I just think that as an artist, as a performer, whilst you can train to fall over, trip over this thing, it is an art form, and doing it ever so slightly wrong must also be quite frustrating when you are trying to physically just leg it off stage to get changed, because you've got to come on as another character in 9 seconds time. It's bananas.
That's a great example. It's the doing the hard bits and making it look easy.
Yeah.
And making it look like, they're just having fun. They're not really knowing what they're doing. The lines are falling apart. But underneath that, there's a sort of a slick base of rehearsal, of structure, of performance.
Then
you get the enjoyment, because when the audience are going, "Did you really mean that?" And then you can kind of say, "Well, do you think I really meant it?" And that's the fun part.
I came down to Bands Theatre, I'm going to say 5 years, maybe 6. I can't remember. Time's been weird in the last couple of years. So a few years ago, and I saw the panto there, the adult panto, and I sat there and I was just like jaw open, like how because I could see the chaos, but I was like, it's all planned. I know how much thought goes. I mean, I've always say this about producer Tom or Beth or Adam, who works with. I can't do this show on my own. It exists because there's a team of people. There are more than one person kind of involved in it, and it's about the pulling together of all those resources. But you must have such a beautifully creative relationship with the other actors you work with, but the production cast as well, to work on it and hone it and sharpen it. Does it get easier?
It gets easier towards the end of each run. So we've been doing this now for about 6-7 weeks, and we're doing it for another 2 months. And by the end of Feb, you're like, yeah, we've got it, we've nailed it, we know what we're doing. And I've done this now, like you say, 19 years. And then you come back in about October, having sort of read the script, learnt the lines, and you go, yeah, I'm a little bit slower than I thought I was, or that door's not opening as quickly as it should. So then it takes you a while to get back up and running, and
momentum.
And that's sort of a yearly constant kind of thing. You just get a new script, you get new parts, you get new characters. I've been really lucky with the cast members. A lot of them have stayed the same. So there's 2, Gemma I worked with a couple of times now, and Ellen, it's her first year. So it takes a while to sort of build up a dynamic and a relationship.
Yeah.
But we've got a really good tour manager as well, Glyn. He's been with us since the beginning. So you're allowed to kind of do whatever you want to do within a rehearsal procedure, with the director, Kirk, as well, to an extent. Obviously, you've got to kind of stick to roughly what's written, but there's that trust that we've all done it enough that
Yeah.
we're working towards the same goal. We'll try different things, and when we know what works, that's when we will go, right, yeah,
Stick to that and just go, we know this works. This is a guaranteed laugh. Let's just do that way.
And even if it's not a guaranteed laugh, I'll just keep on doing it anyway.
Me too. Yeah, you wouldn't understand how many times I've done the same link like back to back just to see if I can get the gag to land better.
I love a tumbleweed.
Were people? So this is something that I've often been asked, and I wonder if specifically with doing the fact you're doing adult panto, pantomime is one entity in its own sense in theatre, but to take it into this sort of adult realm. Were people from your past surprised when you first started doing it? Were they surprised that you'd got into pantomime and doing adult panto?
No, I don't think so. It's just showing off in different costumes, really. So that was always me growing up. That's why I went into drama and went into acting. So it's an extension of me. It's not quite, I'm not as blatant as that, maybe, as some of the characters, and certainly the characters you can read out. But there's an element of me in that, and the fun that I have on stage with all of us as well. I think
it is something to behold, and in a moment we will talk a little bit about like what the kind of show consists of, because it's hard. Like, I try to always remember that even if I've ever experienced something and then we talk about it on the show, try not to assume that everyone else knows what I know about it or maybe has seen the same sort of thing. So we'll go for a bit of a synopsis of the storyline, how much maybe you play with the actual original story and whatnot in a second. But I guess it's I just want to take the moment to say, I know I said like it's adult panto and it's a bit risque and it's a bit cheeky and lots of innuendo. But it's not, and it's not just about the tomfoolery, the falling over, the bumping into it, coming on with the wrong wig. The writing is impeccable. It's so well thought out. Do you remember like day one and year one and when you first started doing it, and what was that feeling like, seeing all these directions of like mistakes? Was that exciting? Was it scary? What was that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I've always really liked fast. So towards the end of the script, when you get it, the first couple of acts, the first couple of scenes, it's quite heavy dialogue. Then towards the end, it's literally just stage directions. This person runs through there, grabbing that, comes back on and grabs this. So really there's about probably 10 pages towards the end that there's 2 pages of dialogue, and the rest is just direction of where to run and what to do. So you're looking at that is a little daunting, because you kind of think, how are we going to do this? Is it going to work? Is it, but in rehearsals, you get up on its feet and you start doing it. It naturally comes together. So it's an element of, this is a big task, and trying to make it a little bit different to each year as well. It's got the same formula and it's got the same kind of bullet points that you got to kind of hit, but the overall story, obviously being a different fairy tale each year, helps, but you try and make it a little different each year. So if you do see it every year, you can kind of way going, well, I appreciate that element, or I like this a little bit more. So, and that we're quite conscious of as well. So it's not just organized chaos. It's clever. There's jokes. There's physical comedy as well as verbal, as well as singing and dancing as well. So it's something for everybody is the idea.
Which I think is quite nice about the theatre as a whole, because if you are someone who likes more of a story and likes more of a play than a musical, there's plenty of that, but equally there's as much sort of musical theatre and fun and shenanigans as there is serious plays or stories being told as well. And I just wonder, because there is I don't know, Nick, how much you kind of experience when you get to go around and tour shows with the Market Theatre Company, but amateur dramatics is unbelievably large. It's astronomically huge. In Essex alone, there are over 100 amateur groups. I know this because I made a spreadsheet of them once about 5 years ago on BBC Essex, and I got to 100, went, I must have copied a few here, I must have done and it wasn't. I think it got to 115, 120, and it just goes to show how many people love it and being a part of it. Is there any advice, as excuse the phrase here, mate, but you are a bit of a veteran of the stage, is there any advice to a young actor who like you loves the farce, loves the antics of the comedy and such like that? There's going to be some people who want to be part of the Shakespeare Company, and that's absolutely a-okay. But there are going to be people who are like yourself, and if you don't mind me saying, a bit like me, a bit silly, and would love to kind of do that sort of stuff. Is there any advice to getting into it?
I think certainly as a younger performer, just do as much as you can. Join groups, performing arts groups, local am groups, and do as many shows as you can. Try and work out if, maybe spread yourself around to different groups as well. If one group is doing something in July, look to see if another group is doing something in the autumn. And see as much as you can. Go and support local stuff that other people are doing. But in town, obviously, London, we're so close to it. There's always an abundance of things that are going on, and touring shows. So just get yourself out there, doing a lot of things, and that's how you meet people, and meeting people that know people, know agents, know contacts, and eventually, if you want to go to drama school, you can kind of go down that route. But I think it might be a bit of a cliche, but just get yourself out there, do and see as much as you can, and see where it leads, because there'll be other people like you, thinking like you, and then you form a friendship, a pact, a group, and then before you know it, and all
of a sudden you're starting your own theatre company and putting on adult pantos in years to come. You just never know these things. Nick, you're on Bishop Stortford tomorrow night.
That's right.
Which venue?
We are at the South Mill Arts venue in Bishop Stortford.
It's not far. I'm just saying, what's nice is that you can go over to Dartford, or you can go up to Ipswich, or you can go over to Cambridge or Hertfordshire. It's not far to go for us, and we are so well connected, like you say, even to the capital. But there are lots of great venues, of course, here in Essex, and you'll be at the Palace Theatre Friday and Saturday of this week, 8:00 performances, £23 a ticket. I mean, it's honestly, you'll sit there at the end of it and you'll be like, I feel like I've shortchanged them, and I don't mean I don't have to say
you're welcome to throw more up there.
Yeah, you're welcome to throw more money, as long as it can be folded. Obviously, that's the best money to be thrown. Yeah. But I'm not asked to say all this stuff. I only say this because I truly believe it. Like, you sit there and you go, that was insane. Like, I feel like I should have paid way more for it, because it is. I mean, Nick, what you do and the rest of the team at the Market Theatre, having seen it myself, is phenomenal. It's a little bit mind-blowing to think how you do that and pull it off. The energy you must have as well is, and I'm quite an energetic person. Genuine, I have no idea how you don't collapse at the end of it as well each time as well.
This week's always the hardest. The first week after Christmas is always a bit of
a little heavier from the mince pies, are we?
Yeah.
So, editorially speaking,
yes,
we've kept ourselves clean. However, you might not know this about radio if you listen to BBC Essex this evening. All right, it's 8:30. But there isn't officially a watershed on radio. Tom's looking at me now with a look that says, "Be careful, Jelly." So we can sort of say anything we like. This is where it's going to go wrong, isn't it? So, Nick, can you for me give us the show synopsis? You are performing Cinderella, albeit an adult version.
Yeah.
As close to the line as you feel comfortable doing, live on the BBC, Nick.
All the pressure. Well, once upon a time, we have a Cinderella. We changed her name ever so slightly, which I'll leave now. There might be a lot of I'll leave for nows coming up. So Cinderella, she's got two ugly sisters, and she's got a stepmom as well. There's a little bit of controversy whether she actually has two sisters or it's the same sister playing two. Yeah. And that's obviously where the wig changes and
like the Olsen twins. There's actually only one of them. They're just moving really, really fast. Yeah.
Yeah. And it follows the same. She wants to go to the ball, but she can't. There's another character that pops in, sort of another villain to work alongside the stepmother. He has a first name very similar to Mr. Wenger. The
Arsenal manager. Yeah, Arsene Wenger. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
The surname's slightly different.
Okay.
So then the villain and the stepmother work in tandem to out Cinderella from the family, and she can't go to the ball. The gag mother appears, and that's all fine. She obviously meets the prince at the ball. The main synopsis of the main change we've done is, instead of a glass slipper that she runs away from the ball and loses, she loses something a little bit more adult.
Okay.
Which again, I won't say. So the prince then is desperate to find somebody who this person fits. And lo and behold, because it's pantomime, there's a happy ever after. He does. And they find each other and they all live happily ever after. But not before about an 8.5 minute run around with all the characters trying to chase who they were either in love with or against throughout the entire show. So it ends in sort of an array of chaos, but ends happily.
If it didn't sound as pathetic as it does with one human being clapping, I would have given you a round of applause, a standing ovation for that exceptionally friendly, BBC-friendly version of a synopsis to an adult panto. Nick, thanks so much for taking some time out. I appreciate you getting ready to get back into the swing of things for the next few months with the Market Theatre Company. Of course, Palace Theatre website where you can get all the details. There might be a ticket or two left, so if you rock up on the door, you might be able to just, get yourself a seat, get a bum on a seat, Friday or Saturday night from 8 o'clock. But if you are free, I thoroughly recommend it. You'll never watch, I will say this, you'll never watch normal panto again in the same way. Just saying that now.
We do ruin a lot for you.
And the less mentions of ruins in a moment. Otherwise, we will definitely be in trouble shortly. Nick, all the best. Break a leg this week and enjoy the rest of the run of the Cinderella Adult Panto. I think I remember the Palace Theatre website saying it's 16 and over, but I'm very much going to sit here and say 18 up. Okay, I'm gonna try. At the one moment, I'm going to be a responsible grown up here and just say it's an adult show. Please and thank you.
We do get families though. A lot of families come, even in the front row. You've got mum, dads, daughters.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's my advice. Okay, so Nick's advice about how to get into theatre, or if
but they are,
do not
over 16.
Do not go and watch this show with your mum. All right, just don't do it. If you wouldn't watch Embarrassing Bodies with your mum on Channel 4, definitely do not go and watch this with your mum. Or buy them tickets in 4 rows in front of you so you can watch them laughing from behind. No, we're getting into territory I don't want to get to. Nick, it's a pleasure. Look after yourself, and I hope to speak soon. Take care, Nick.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care.